Hello, Leiden family. At the start of the school year, we talked about the need to keep our eyes on the horizon of the educational world. Specifically, we looked at some examples of charter schools and virtual charter schools that are proliferating across the country. Over the past year, the amount of news surrounding charters has been accelerating. In Illinois, we now have a governor who is very pro-charter and is personally invested heavily in charter schools in Chicago. He named a Secretary of Education to his cabinet that has been the CEO of a charter school network for more than 10 years. And we're beginning to see more and more bills proposed in Illinois dealing with this issue. The current moratorium on new virtual charter schools will lift after 2016. What I'm seeing nationally is a rapid increase in virtual school enrollment. You might recall that I referenced K-12 Inc. at the start of the school year, which is the largest online school network in the country. If you were to put all of their students together, they would be the fifth largest school district in the nation. When schools lose students to this model of education, they not only lose the students, but also the dollars associated with them and their connection to the local community. All of this leads me to a very strong realization, and that is that online and blended learning are a reality and part of the future of public education. If you don't believe me, just ask any of your colleagues that are pursuing advanced degrees right now. It's nearly impossible to find a program that doesn't contain an online component or is a fully online degree. Nearly every course we approve for the teachers at Leiden right now is an online course. Several times lately, I've had teachers describe online learning to me as a slippery slope, one that could ultimately lead to technology replacing teachers. In the coming years, online learning is going to explode in Illinois, and we have a decision to make. Because our state had the foresight to implement a temporary moratorium, we get to decide if we want our students receiving online content from our teachers and with our curriculum, or from some outside company and some other teachers. As I see it, the slippery slope is actually the thought of ignoring what is happening around us. With online and blended learning, our teachers are more important than ever. At Leiden, we have a reputation for being progressive. Part of our vision needs to include a continual evolution towards what our students need from us. Just as our adults are now encountering virtual learning, we are preparing students for a technology-rich education, a workforce, and a life after Leiden. Now, another major trend in virtual learning in the country right now is the concept of e-learning days, or virtual snow days. What we're seeing across the country, and in states as close as Minnesota, Ohio, and Indiana, is that school cancellations are becoming a thing of the past. Instead, schools are taking that opportunity to teach students a valuable lesson about being a lifelong learner who accepts personal responsibility for their learning. When schools are forced to close due to inclement weather, flooding, or the like, students are attending school virtually, with their states allowing those days to count as regular attendance days. As I saw Illinois becoming a Midwest island in the fact that we don't yet permit this practice, I began a conversation with the Illinois State Board of Education earlier this year. Concurrently, I put together a committee at Leiden consisting of students, teachers, department chairs, and administrators to start a dialogue about the concept of virtual snow days. The thought process was that Illinois will likely start allowing the practice, and we should be proactive in figuring out what obstacles we would need to overcome and whether or not this is a good match at Leiden. By connecting with ISBE, I found out that similar conversations and committees were also occurring in other Illinois school districts, many of which were very close to us. I expected that ISBE would eventually allow a waiver process for districts to opt in to the concept of running virtual snow days if they had the available technology in place and some experience under their belts, much like the situation at Leiden. One of my colleagues took a different approach by drafting a piece of legislation and sharing it with one of his local legislators. What happened from there needs some explaining. After the bill was drafted, several superintendents, including me, were asked to come to Springfield to meet with a representative from the State Board of Education. They had a multitude of questions, many of which are likely the same questions you have surrounding connectivity in student homes, expectation for students and for teachers, and more. Because Illinois is coming somewhat late to this party, I was able to share the solutions I've learned about from my colleagues in other states. A week later, the bill was called before the Education Committee in the House of Representatives, and two of us were asked back to testify to the merits of the bill. I shared about the power of teaching students that their learning is not confined to a 50-minute class period or to a physical classroom. I shared about the fact that even when school is canceled, the testing dates for the ACT, for AP exams, and for the SAT don't move. The question is not whether a virtual day is as good as a normal day. The real question is whether a virtual day is better than sticking an extra day onto the end of the school year. Even more important than that, it points us back to the larger vision about where education is moving in our country and how we need to evolve to meet the needs of our students. Back to the bill. The original bill was slightly altered to set up the e-learning days as a pilot program for next year. Now, lobbyist groups always have the opportunity to file as an opponent to a bill, a proponent of a bill, or as neutral. Right now, both the IEA and IFT have filed positions of neutrality on the basis of 2 points. Their first was that the program is meant to be a pilot, so that Illinois can figure out how to best implement and scale up this idea. The second thing they asked was that teachers involved in the pilot be allowed to have a dry run day earlier in the year to try out this concept of an e-learning day without waiting for the first snow or the first major wind chill. The bill passed out of committee unanimously and picked up bipartisan support, with 4 co-sponsors bridging both political parties. As it stands, the bill is set for consideration on the House floor in the coming weeks. It would set up a limited pilot group that could include West Chicago High School, Leiden, and several other districts. That is obviously contingent on both the bill actually becoming law and those districts deciding to participate. This is not exactly how I saw this issue playing out. I would have preferred more time for us to discuss this issue within our committee and with the staff in general and with the association, but this is how it has played out so far.